Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Inbound 2025 recap. Myself and our CEO and co-founder, our CEO and founder, Dave Scilabro. We had an amazing event last week alongside our VP of Growth, Brendan Bluin, and our two other correspondents, Nicola Fakis and Caroline Prettyman. It was an exciting show and packed with a bunch of updates. Everybody who's been following the show felt like, oh my God, 200 plus updates. But we're here to make that craziness feel more digestible and more understandable and highlight what we think are the features that you should be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and to put that in context, how many updates did they have all of last year? Was it? I heard you say
the entire year we had 2,000.
2,000. So 200, like in the big scheme of things, seems like
it's like 10%.
10%
in 1 week.
Yeah.
So just a quick reminder for those who don't know who we are. HarvestROI is a diamond tier solution partner. We are 3 times accredited. We are a technical and operational partner. We're not a marketing agency, and we dive deep into your portal. And we are currently 100% referral driven. We're trusted by HubSpot CSMs as well as VC and PE to refer their portfolio companies. The event, like we mentioned, it was exciting. We had a lot of fun. We also learned a lot. We crammed a lot of learning in there, a bunch of sessions. Dave, tell us a little bit more about like all the meetings that you've had.
Yeah, we had a lot of great meetings, not just with a lot of our clients, right? Getting feedback from our clients, getting their reaction to a lot of what we saw at Inbound this year, but also some really high-level HubSpot executive meetings, which was great. So it helped us with a lot of insight. It helped us share our insight with HubSpot. You know, one of the things I love the most about being a HubSpot partner is that they're open, accessible. Like you can see, I met with Yamini as part of a CEO roundtable, and people are always open at HubSpot to feedback, right? And so that feedback comes from us, and that feedback also comes from our clients, right? So as our clients are giving us feedback, we're feeding it back to HubSpot, and they're responsive. So I would say that there was 2 tones at Inbound this year. One was like a fever-pitched excitement. I could hear the buzz was there was a lot more energy than I remember from most other Inbounds. As we were in the meeting rooms, I think the remark was, wow, listen to how loud it is. Listen to how many people are just talking about what's happening there, right? And that's a combination of excitement, fear of the unknown. But we're here to unpack all of that for you guys today.
Yep. And if you haven't been following our correspondence and our brand page, we've been covering the entire show, including interviews with a lot of product managers and HubSpot personalities. And it was a great show. And make sure to stay following us because there's more content coming out, including the podcast episode with myself, Nico, and Caroline that we recorded at the show. It was a fun conversation, debriefing the keynote. But today we've had enough time to digest all of these updates and come to you with a more insightful take than we did back then, which was right after the keynote. We debriefed.
And I would say, so too, for more context, like you and the correspondent team, while we were kind of looking at the big picture and the direction of the market, I think you and the correspondent team took a lot of time to take deep dives into these product updates. So we're excited again to share that with everybody.
Yeah. So let's jump right in. The event started with Yamini taking the stage and doing her keynote. And one thing that was a big theme is the fact that in their view, from their analytics, inbound marketing has not been successful as it has been in the past. Awareness is now, that used to be centralized, now dispersed on multiple channels. Organic traffic is disappearing, and HubSpot themselves had a little, time in the spotlight where everybody was scrutinizing their blog traffic, and they came out with an explanation of what's happening and what are the things they're focusing on. So a lot of things marketers are seeing that are changing, but what they also saw that conversions that used to be slow are now really fast with AI. and they've taken the time to go to their clientele, do some market research, understand what everybody's doing, and seeing who is being successful and who's not being successful. And they compiled all of these findings into what a new framework that they've shared with us at this event, which is
Let's just talk about this for a quick second, right?
yep.
Because like fundamentally things have shifted over the past year. And there's been a slow adoption of AI in our lives in our world, right? And I think the way that most people are looking at AI today is as a sort of a knowledge resource, right? Like give me the information, give me everything I need to know, boil it down, disseminate it for me, and tell me exactly what I need to know. And so those who aren't using Chat GPT or other
Or
GPT.
Google's AI mode.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, well, even when you search Google now, you're getting the Gemini results right at the top. And I feel like, 90% of the people who are doing Google searches now are even looking at Gemini and not going to websites. So it's fundamentally changing the way that people are interacting with the internet and fundamentally going to rapidly change the way that people interact with your brands, right? And this is where HubSpot's making a lot of the shifts because they see how the change in which people are interacting with brands is shifting. HubSpot is shifting with a lot of these tools in the same direction.
Yep. And even if you're not adopting AI search yourself, companies like Google are starting to put it front and center. And they've pushed recently AI mode, which is getting rid of the 10 blue links paradigm and just pushing you into a chatbot experience. So
yeah, let's introduce a new term here too, right? Which is SEO is being rapidly replaced by what's considered AEO, right? Which is
AI engine optimization.
AI engine optimization, right? Which is a shift from SEO.
Yeah, or they also call it answer engine optimization because in their mind it's not giving you a link, it's giving you an answer.
Giving you an answer, correct.
So, drum roll, the new framework is the loop. It might feel familiar. The flywheel is also kind of a loop, but what they found that people who are successful in this new disruption that AI has done to search are people who follow these 4 steps. First is express, where you define your own ICP, your own product, your company story, and your own point of view. This is before you bring in AI tools to do so. This is the 100% human step where you define everything you need to be able to leverage AI tools. The next step is taking that identity that you've created, that you've expressed, and starting to tailor it to every single one of your targets, doing personalization at scale with the help of AI tools. Once that personalization happens, now, as we mentioned, awareness is spread out on multiple channels. So we need to amplify the reach by using AI to help us adapt this message for each channel and be present on each channel. And then lastly, my favorite, which is the analytics time, where you evolve what you've done using AI tools to detect good patterns, success patterns, things that fell through the cracks, and you quickly iterate and start over. And instead of having long drawn 6 months campaigns that are very rigid from start to finish, we're going into a more dynamic, quick campaign, quick iteration, because everything is changing so quickly. Dave, what are your thoughts on this new framework that HubSpot have presented?
So I think, and I expressed this in the roundtable, like my excitement about the loop. It isn't just a new marketing framework for how we think about marketing. It is really a revenue model, right? And it's a revenue model for successful companies, and it's a revenue model for, if we look at companies who have been great companies, they've been following a principle very similar to this, for years, right? Where you express in your brand voice. Now, what HubSpot's doing is giving us the tools within HubSpot to create a brand voice, to populate a brand voice, right? To put all of our brand assets in there and then have that be part of our large language model, right? So that's in there. It's hearing us. It's speaking the way that we're going to speak. It's going to create contextualized content in the way that we speak. As we move through this, at the center of the loop is really the customer, right? So we're expressing ourselves in our brand voice. We're tailoring our approach using AI. So interactions, personal, contextual, and relevant. Think about this in terms of, the term personalization has been used for a long time, where we've used personalization tokens, we've used other things to personalize a message. And then I've heard hyper personalization. I like to think about this as hyper personal, right? It's going to be able to take context from within the CRM. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit about Smart CRM and how now in HubSpot we have access to both structured and unstructured data that's going to really help us tailor a message that's hyper personal to the person we're talking to, from emails to landing pages to remixing of that content. And that's where we go up to amplify, is how are we taking that content and dispersing that content across multiple channels. Again, HubSpot last year introduced Remix tool, we introduced Social Agent, we introduced other agents. So we're now able to start amplifying that message across channels. Again, very personal, very targeted, very segmented. And we're going to talk about even like how HubSpot is addressing segments and as we go forward. And then think about evolving, right? Evolving to me is the important part of this entire process. When we think about successful companies, they iterate by, and I'm gonna dare use the term failing quickly, right? Like we have to fail forward and we have to fail quickly, which just means that we're learning we're learning much faster than we were before. So I think about this whole loop process as an accelerant, right? What HubSpot's doing is helping us now accelerate by using this tool and also using this approach of loop. It's just really accelerating. We can accelerate getting more ICPs. We can accelerate getting more qualified leads. We can accelerate the conversations and have a more human-to-human experience when we do interact as humans.
Yep. And the keynote did a great job at using this framework to kind of tie all the product updates together in a nice little bow, no pun intended. But let's dive in to the start of the show, which is all the new HubSpot Breeze updates. A lot has changed and it might feel overwhelming, but it's easy to understand if we understand how HubSpot is structuring things. HubSpot defines two new terms, assistants and agents. Well, to be clear, they're not defining them, but like this is how they're thinking about it. Assistants are AI tools that help you and collaborate with you for you to do your work. And agents are AI tools that go on their own and do the work for you on your behalf.
Right. I think you said it the other day, like assistants work with you and agents work for you is a great way to think about it.
Yes, correct. And with all of these assistants and agents, you need a tool to be able to manage them, configure them, and update them, which is the introduction of the new Breeze Studio. Any of you that used tools like ChatGPT with its custom GPTs, you might be familiar with the type of interface that HubSpot just introduced. So now all the functionalities that are available through custom GPTs are now included inside of your HubSpot portal. Now, beyond HubSpot's renamed Copilot, which is now HubSpot's assistant, that is a super powerful AI assistant that has context on your CRM and that can do activities and actions for you inside of CRM, including creating tasks and updating CRM records. But we also have a team of agents, like Yamini was talking about. The future of companies is hybrid teams, humans plus agents. So that agent team is constituted with Customer Agent, which they launched last year and had some interesting updates. Prospecting Agent, that was part of Sales Hub, that is now available to all clients, but now uses HubSpot credits. And Data Agent, which is an exciting new agent that offers us functionality similar to the type of enrichment that you can that you're used to in tools like Clay, which is going through the internet or through your CRM and automatically updating properties using a prompt. And if these three built-in agents are not enough, HubSpot launched a Breeze marketplace where you can find additional agents that have been built by HubSpot or by other third parties and partners. And they've opened up the world for third partners to create a multitude of agents that you can deploy in your portal.
Yeah, and that's something that we can do for our clients too, right? Is we can create custom agents that we build on the outside, drop into their marketplace library, and they can use. And one of the ones that we're working on right now, we should be releasing next week, is like a credit calculator, right? You're going to have questions on, how many credits is that going to cost me? What is the impact of that? What's going to be the ROI? How much time is that going to take back for my team? We'll have a calculator available for all of our clients, right, to answer some of those questions. And I think this is really exciting. Like the concept of hybrid teams is something that's new, right? I feel like that was one of the things that I heard throughout, day one, that initial shock factor, which was, what is this? How does this change what I do? Is my job being replaced? Right. And what I would say is that, what this is going to do is going to start leveling the playing field in terms of messaging and some of the things that we can do. But for the most part, having AI in our lives in the right way as assistance, right, to help us gain more context, gain more information, for agents to take the menial, repetitive jobs that we do that maybe have some customization to it, right, that we can turn into agents and have them work for us, is going to allow us to be more present with our clients when we do have our human-to-human interaction. Because at the end of the day, we still have to talk to people. We still have to onboard people. We still have to, deliver, fulfill our products. We still have to support our customers. And look, we've all been on prompts and calls, and at some point we want to speak to a human. And when we do, we want to be as present as possible, and we want to be as trained and knowledgeable as possible. And I think this is going to start giving us more time back to work on relationships, because relationships are what build long-term business, right? Closing a deal is one thing, but it's the humans and the relationship part that allows us to build those longer lasting relationships. So I'm excited. I think if this is used the right way for most people, and it's just not used to substitute labor altogether, but you look at it as how we can enhance our human-to-human experiences, it's a game changer.
Yep. Especially now that these tools are not disconnected. HubSpot has connectors with OpenAI, with Gemini, with Claude, and you were before forced to work outside of HubSpot to try to leverage some of these AI tools. Now all of it is inside of HubSpot. It has the context of your entire CRM and can do more actionable insights for you than you would have in other tools. Yeah, but AI is not stuck to these assistants and agents, and they've added AI tool sets across all hubs, and we're excited to dive in.
I was going to say, even before inbound, we started to see them appear as part of workflows, right? Where as part of a workflow, we could have AI inside of a workflow, gathering more information, bringing in more information. So it's slowly been creeping in all over the ecosystem. And I think the kind of the overarching message of what we're talking about today, what inbound was all about, and what we're going to see rapidly over the next 2 years is fundamentally the way that we're working and our go-to-market strategies is going to rapidly evolve, right? And those who start, adapting quickly, right? The early adopters who start getting on board and doing this are going to see that acceleration.
Yes, definitely. The honestly, one of the biggest updates that I saw was the update to the packaging of the Smart CRM.
This is exciting.
For current customers, that the Smart CRM is the foundational layer that sits at the base and has all the hubs working off of it. And we've had the Smart CRM for free with any hub purchase, but now the CRM is available as a standalone SKU, which means you can now buy the Smart CRM, either the Pro or Enterprise version of it, without having to buy another hub. But a nice side effect of this is Now, if you already have a Pro Hub and you're interested in Smart CRM Enterprise, but you don't really want to upgrade your hub to an enterprise hub, now you have the ability to upgrade the CRM itself to enterprise and get access to things like custom objects.
Right. And just so everybody's, we're all on the same page, like if you have a pro license of anything, I think even, a free license with some limited
Yeah, that's the free license is very limited, but current before the tier of your CRM followed the highest tier of the hubs you've purchased. So, but now that has been decoupled, and you have the ability to upgrade the CRM further than your hubs.
Right, but to clarify, if you have any other paid hub, you're going to get Smart CRM as part of that package
For free.
for free. Correct.
Yep. Um, what changed within the CRM though is we're used to table views and board views. Now we have more flexible views that adapt to each team member and each team function. We've got report views, calendar views, and for project managers out there, Gantt views, as well as map views that have been added due to the acquisition of GeoMapper.
Yeah, I love the map views. Like if you're thinking about trying to understand market penetration, territory analysis, any things like that, imagine just being able to overlay your contacts, your companies, your deals, any of your other information on top of a map to kind of see where those people lie, and then being able to filter that down by life cycle stage or deal stage, right? I think to me, that's a really exciting. I think a lot of people are looking at that, trying to understand like, hey, where's our opportunity and where are we the most successful? It can help them visualize that very, very quickly.
Yep. And speaking of project managers, the brand new project object has been announced and is now available in your portals, which came with the Gantt chart view. I've heard people excited to dive in, but as all updates that they share during inbound, some of them are ready today, some of them are still in development and upcoming. Which, if you're looking to do integrations with the project object using the API access is not yet available for the projects, but it's a good place to start if you don't have a dedicated project management system and have the entire context of your projects from opportunity to close to services and delivery.
Huge upgrade from where projects used to live in the right side panel, and it was very simple. It's been the same project interface for a really, really long time, which has been super simple. I think this as an object is a great way to kind of manage onboardings and pieces like that. Not really complex, very custom projects. It's not going to replace a full-blown project management system that has time logging and things like that. But we use, like even in our own portal, we use an engagement object, right, to track not just clients, but what the particular project is and the status of it, and who's like this is going to replace our custom object that we built.
Yep. One other demo that blew my mind was the self-generating CRM data, which uses existing unstructured data. So we're talking about notes, emails, meeting transcripts that already exists in your CRM to complete the picture on your records automatically. The easiest example is there's a lot of out of office emails that get sent, and you need a human to go and look for that information, see who's the new contact, see if there's a phone number to call or a new email to reach out to. Now with self-generating CRM data, HubSpot is going to do that on your behalf. It's going to pick up phone numbers from signatures. It's going to create new contacts from out of office emails and just pick up on the context that you need on its own.
Right. Think about the things you talk about in your calls that are unstructured data. Again, where this is going to come into play, it's going to allow people who are on calls, whether those are salespeople, BDRs, SDRs, customer success people, to be more present on the call and not just be taking notes and half distracted. They're going to be able to fully engage with the customer. That information is going to feed into the CRM, and that all that information is going to be available and will help to self-generate properties and data inside the CRM.
Yep. If any of you are familiar with Clay, use it and love it. HubSpot now has smart properties, which function similarly to some of the AI powered properties in Clay. You can create a custom company or contact property and use an AI prompt to search either the entire web, the company's website, your own CRM, or the last 5 meetings you've had with this contact or company, and be able to get the context from there and fill out whatever information you need based on the prompt you put inside. And that is going to be a part of Data Hub using Data Agent, but is available to all clients.
So think about this in like the B2B space. Like if you wanted to get more context on the companies that you're targeting, or your, let's just say you want to know when their latest funding round was, or what their latest funding round was, or have they had any press releases, any news that's worth mentioning that makes this, again, this hyper personal approach, a lot more effective by arming your, again, your BDRs, your SDRs, your customer success people with information about the company. So it always sounds like, and not just sounds like, but so your team is constantly connected to your customers, right? By bringing that information into the CRM and having it there, it's going to be a game changer again for the way that we interact with people on a personal level.
Yep. And moving forward, Smart Insights is going to be a big part of every single piece of the Smart CRM. We're going to start to have on multiple records a lot of new cards that help you to either summarize the entire record to get an up-to-date context on it, or get some insights on specific aspects of it, get notifications if there is something in the record that you did not detect, or things like choosing a property and looking at all of your records for that property and doing an analysis on the values that are there, and getting insights that you might have not picked up on unless you've taken those into like a business intelligence software and did a lot of analytics work on it.
Yeah, think about your CRM, changing from a data collector to a data aggregator that's delivering all the relevant information to you when you need it, right? Which is different. Like people used to have to go read through a timeline and read through emails and read through everything else to gain context on a record, which takes time, right? And the busier we get, the more customers and clients that we start dealing with, that becomes more and more difficult. But just like, the sales workspace brought the work of the sales team to them and aggregated it in a single workspace, I think Smart Insights is going to be a game changer for how people are learning about, what's the next step? How do I get the context for the next meeting, the next conversation? How do I move this deal forward? All of that's going to be, again, aggregated and brought right to you.
Speaking of data aggregation, HubSpot recognized that there was work to be done on Operations Hub, and they've now renamed it to Data Hub and added a bunch of new features. One of the big features they added was Data Studio, which whose interface is similar to Clay or other ETL tools that you might have used in the past. ETL is extract, transform, load, and it allows you to bring a bunch of data sources using no-code integrations to your external tools and at the enterprise level to warehouses, data warehouses like Snowflake and Amazon and Google Google's warehouse. And you have the ability to do an external sync, bring that data into an intermediary space before pushing it directly to your CRM, and it allows you to do a lot of work that analysts love to do, including custom calculated properties and joining a bunch of data sets to get the right information that you need. And then with one click, you can push those updates back to your CRM to get the full picture.
Right. And we can even transform, information that sits inside of your Google Sheets or your spreadsheets. And we know a lot of you guys out there are using spreadsheets, right? That becomes a lot of the source of truth for people. They feel more comfortable sometimes with their spreadsheets or how they're aggregating information. We can turn those into data sets essentially by interacting with those Google Sheets. in a no code environment. So it's going to be a game changer on think about how we bring data into the CRM from other external sources and build better reporting, better visuals, and just a better overall picture inside of HubSpot.
Yeah, this is going to be an amazing way to help people not drop their spreadsheets cold turkey, but like ease into it.
Going to ease them off of spreadsheets.
Yeah. We've talked about smart properties. These are really powerful tools inside of Data Hub. As we mentioned, each smart property uses HubSpot credits, as well as similar to other tools in the market, external syncs between HubSpot and outside sources do also consume credits. Um, and as of last week, the data quality tools that resided inside of Data Hub, which you'll still find in the navigation for Data Hub, but these are available to all clients as well. And this is a powerful tool set that allows you to clean data, detect duplicates, and fix them quickly, and detect a bunch of data hygiene issues that are hampering your work inside of CRM.
So those of you who have gone through our complimentary HubSpot portal health and adoption audit, we've always put the trial, if you didn't have Operations Hub, into that audit so that we could use and demonstrate a lot of these data quality tools. And we'd even cheated a little bit by saying, hey, let's go ahead and just run this automation and clean up your 2 or 3,000 like formatting issues on this demo call. Right now, that's available to everybody. And you know what? It should be. This is the biggest issue that people have with their data is keeping it clean in a way that, again, is as we start to accelerate. If you have bad data, a poor foundation of data, bad data quality, we're accelerating chaos too, right? So none of this replaces the foundation or the fundamentals of good quality data, but the data quality tools certainly help. You're on. I can't hear you, Salim.
Sorry about that. Next, a lot of people felt like at Inbound, the darlings were the marketers, and there's a lot of updates that have been like targeted towards marketers. Before we dive into the updates, I know you had interesting conversations about like what does the current marketer, like the future marketer skill set looks like.
Yeah, that was a question that was asked to me about 4 times. It was asked in the roundtable discussion, which is, people who are in marketing said, "How did my job change? Whose job is this now? Because it is going to fundamentally change." And I think the consensus was that it is going to require a different skill set, right? So marketers have had to adapt over the last couple of years with AI coming in, creating content, doing other things. Now I think we're seeing the full sort of evolution of a marketer, right? And I think the definition of a good marketer in the future is somebody who's really comfortable with data, somebody who understands data, data architecture, data structure, is willing to dive in, experiment with AI, experiment with the tools, be creative, and iterate, right? And then kind of going back and sort of adopting that loop philosophy, right? But I think rather than being more creative, right, or idea driven, ideas are great. That's part of the creativity. But a lot of this is going to be based on the actual data, right? And what we're going to be able to do with that data and how we're going to be able to become hyper personal.
Yep. And make sure to buy lunch for your marketing analyst and become more friends with them, because they're
Right.
going to be the ones that going to help you through this period.
Watch out. A lot of nerds are going to be marketers going forward.
Yep. So anyone who's used the campaigns tool before, it left a lot to be desired. Now it's got a big facelift. It's now called Marketing Studio, and we have a new Canvas style interface where we can track all of our assets in a visual manner, draw our intended customer journey, and basically it's a collaborative space where everybody can get a high level view of the entire campaign. It is AI powered and has the ability to help you create your briefs. It can help you suggest assets, and you could start creating those assets using AI, or you can add those already created assets into the campaign, and it's all drag and drop.
So it's
Um,
gonna be more like a
Like Lucid Chart,
like
similar
Lucid,
to Lucid Chart.
Miro,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Miro,
yeah.
perfect.
Um, Organization is great, but we need to create our assets. Emails are now AI powered as well. This has not launched yet, but this will launch soon. You can now have, similar to traditional personalization tokens inside of email, you can now have an AI powered token that you prompt based on the context of that record specifically, and you can get custom content for each recipient, which is unlocking personalization at scale, and that one-to-one messaging.
And that personalization at scale, that's going to be not just the personalization tokens. Now we're talking about how the unstructured data in all of these records comes to play.
Yep. And AI is not just used for creating the email, but also we now have predictive analytics that can try to predict the performance of your email before you even hit send. That way you can do the recommended tweaks before sending the wrong email to your audience.
Again,
Some
that's the part we talked about earlier. We're going to be able to accelerate, right? We're going to be able to
Yes.
fail. We're going to be able to fail quickly because we're going to be able to do that within our own CRMs with the predictive analytics piece, be able to iterate even before we send something out.
Yeah.
Changing.
Traditional marketers that have been using HubSpot can now rejoice because lists are now called segments, a term that you're more familiar with. But it's not just a rename, but also it's an upgrade. AI comes in again with a lot of prediction on what segments in your CRM you should be taking a look at. Also, AI can help you build entire segments from simple prompts instead of you having to go through and decide each filter in each property. So it's making it much more accessible in a no code manner for people to be more in control of their CRM.
Right. So think about segments in three ways, right? One, you still have the access to the traditional interface where we can use all of your structured properties, right? To be able to build a segment. Two, we're able to prompt segments, right? So think about prompting again. This is where your unstructured data comes into play because now we can just ask the CRM to create a segment based on context that we're feeding it, not necessarily structured properties, right? So it's going to bring some of that information based again on emails, conversations, some of that. And then the third piece is suggested segments where AI analyzes your business, your closed won deals, and starts to look at how that applies earlier on and starts to create and refine your segments for you moving forward. Again, absolutely game changing.
Yep. Speaking of game changing, AI engine optimization tools. Where these tools are still in private beta, but what these tools allow you to do, similar to the SEO tools that you're used to with HubSpot, these allow you to navigate this new paradigm of answer engine optimization, where a lot of the visibility that we're used to in the traditional funnel, where like awareness and consideration, we had a lot of traffic analytics and click analytics and journeys. Those are not available, not visible in the AI search era, and the tools will allow you to figure out how you're showing up in AI search, what types of queries AI searches are getting on a daily basis, and it also helps you clean up and structure your website in a way that's easier for AI crawlers to understand.
Right. And I think a lot of this work as we start to think about what AEO looks like going forward, again, rather than having a lot of content creation, a lot of this can become agentic in terms of how we execute our AEO strategy. Right. And if we think about again how people are searching, it's we're not clicking through to websites like we used to. I think what we're doing is we're going in, we're asking the question about the information. And then the second prompt is usually, where's the best place to find this product or service? Right. And then that's when we'll see the search engine make those recommendations. So I think this is going to be extremely disruptive, not just to SEO, but SEM as well.
Yeah, and this is my own personal recommendation. If you haven't read "They Ask You Answer" by Marcus Sheridan, uh, he's been ahead of this paradigm without knowing it, because a lot of what he preaches in his framework is what you need to be doing today in the AI engine world.
Yeah, I don't think it replaces good content. It just, I think it facilitates the need for more and more good content, right? To
Yeah,
have a deeper,
and relevant content
excuse me,
and relevant content.
relevant. Yes.
So moving away from marketing, Commerce Hub has gotten some interesting updates. You're used to Commerce Hub being the payments tool, where HubSpot enables you to use HubSpot payments or Stripe, and kind of takes a commission on those. But it's gotten a new facelift, courtesy of the acquisition of Cashflow, and it's now an AI-powered CPQ that allows you to create quotes and use AI to get the context of your records and automatically fill out that quote. It also has a new product library experience where the creation of products is much better, more streamlined, and helps better product management, as well as their new smart pricing management, including either flat or tiered pricing, control over discounts, control over approvals, and automatic tax rate at the line item level.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of changes here in Commerce Hub, Dave. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts around it.
Again, I think as we start to look at things like the smart pricing management, to have tiered pricing is something that's always been absent in quotes. I think that's a huge upgrade. I feel like a lot of people do tiered pricing, right, as incentives for increasing deal size, and tax rates has always kind of been an issue. So those two upgrades alone are huge. I also like what's in AI powered CPQ. Again, we're starting to leverage unstructured data to make our quotes, to make our communicate, to make everything that we do, again, more contextual to that person we've had that relationship with. And this is what we keep talking about is like AI isn't replacing people. It's really sort of enhancing the human experience by being more personal. So we're able to, think about all the context we had through our discovery meetings or our scoping meetings or whatever the meetings we had leading up to that quote. All of that information is available to become, part of this presentation of your proposal, right within HubSpot. So again, I keep using the word game changing. A lot of this is just so exciting. I'm excited about the changes because these are all the pieces that we had to kind of take apart and do manually. Now it's all kind of streamlined inside of our editor and how we interface with our CRM.
Yeah. And if you look at the product roadmap, it's quite an ambitious roadmap. They're trying to make HubSpot an attractive place to do your quotes. That way, it's all in the same quote to cash like pipeline. But to be able to support all of these new features, legacy quoting that was available inside of Sales Hub has reached end of sale status. So clients who have already set up legacy quoting inside of Sales Hub will still have access to it, but will have the opportunity to upgrade to the new advanced quoting inside of Commerce Hub, which is gonna be similar to sales and service. It's gonna come with a Commerce Hub specific seat for anyone who wants to do that quoting activity. Honestly, it's exciting that HubSpot is updating quoting, because quoting has not been the tool that we desired before. There's also a third-party ecosystem of quoting apps to various degrees of complexity. So if you're looking for a CPQ experience, now HubSpot joins that large pool of options.
Right. I would say though I wouldn't look at this as an advanced CPQ. I would look at this as HubSpot's initial offering into the CPQ world, right? For a lot of people, this scratches the itch, right? Which I see a lot of people buy CPQ tools and never really use the full functionality. But if you're looking for a full-blown CPQ, this isn't there yet. But I think that on the roadmap again to evolve over the next year. And I would just say, with all of these updates, buckle in because we're in for a wild ride the next 2 years.
Yeah. And since I've worked in the industrial space a lot, I will tell you this: if you're in the industrial space, maybe hold off on this one because it's not going to be the right solution for you, especially with the complicated configurations that you might see in the industrial space that's not supported yet. Yeah. So, Dave, we've come to the end of the product updates themselves. So I want to give us some time to share our thoughts around all the updates, the event itself, what's coming down the pipe, how Harvest ROI is taking these changes and evolving the way we approach HubSpot.
Yeah, I would say that, I heard somebody say the other day, from a partner perspective, we're usually a couple years ahead of the average client in terms of what the tools can do, how to deploy those tools. And I don't think this is any different. Like we brought in our own AI specialist developer a year ago to start working on a lot of these tools internally. And we built a lot of these tools internally to help us operationally. And that was a big deal. I think seeing these tools being released and obviously the strategic move about HubSpot having inbound this year in San Francisco spoke volumes, right? San Francisco is, the center of the tech hub. The Moscone Center is like underneath the shadow of the Salesforce Tower, right? And I think HubSpot was sending a message, which is, hey guys, we're here and we're here to be, not just SMB anymore, but we're looking at, and we've got the enterprise market in our sights, and we've got the tools now to really start playing in that enterprise market, right? So when companies think about like buying HubSpot, and especially companies that are well funded, that have funding rounds that are saying, hey, we're small today, but in the next 2 years we hope to be really big. Is HubSpot the right tool for us? I think the answer now is yes, right? And I think my biggest takeaway from all of this is a couple things really. Like one, I think a lot of these tools, as people adopt them, whether it's HubSpot or other AI tools or agents or assistants into their work, especially on the marketing or content side or the outreach side, it's going to be a very leveling experience, right? Which means that most people are going to start to see really great messaging from a lot of companies, and every company is going to start to look like an expert at what they do. And again, this is where I keep going back to that human experience needs to be on point, right? Because, if we have this leveling of the playing field in terms of how we can all start to communicate, then what happens is we have to deliver, right? We have to back that up with what we do as humans and how we communicate with people and how we build relationships and what our integrity is and how we deliver our products or services. That's going to really matter in the new world, right? The other huge takeaway I have is this is one of those things that you're either going to lead, follow, or get out of the way, because these tools are here. They're in our lives. They're not going anywhere. Nobody's putting this genie back in the box, right? HubSpot doing this in San Francisco. Dreamforce is going to have their piece in 3 months. They're going to, I'm sure, release tools, try to counter HubSpot. And what we're going to see is a technological race over the next 2 years, really over the next 4 years, where these tools are going to start to accelerate very, very quickly, right? So if I'm in the HubSpot ecosystem, I want to be learning all the time. This is your opportunity to learn and stay ahead and become an expert, right? Like this is a wild time, and I think even at that roundtable, I used the expression, for me as a partner, what I found most exciting about it is if you're a fan of Outliers, right, the book Outliers, and you've read that book and you understand anything about it, they talk about the concept of a wormhole. And I think that's really where we are. Like, as we start to look at these tools and apply them to not just our business as a partner, but all of our clients applying these tools to their business, this is not much different than what we saw when the .com revolution happened, where boom, .coms became everything, and it created this wormhole for how businesses could accelerate. This is that next wormhole, right? And if we're not paying attention to it, and we're not experimenting with it, and we're not leaning on our solutions partners to say, hey guys, help me figure out how we adopt this in our process, in our business, where can we use it, how can we use it, you're going to get behind the eight ball, I think, very quickly.
Yeah. Watching all of these product updates and demos might make you feel like these tools are sort of like magic, but we definitely know that these are not magic bullets that are going to solve all your problems if you don't do the foundation work. Even 2 years ago, with the launch of HubSpot's customer platform, there's a huge emphasis on data structure, data cleanliness, data governance, data quality. And we also have that as our starting a tier in our RevOps hierarchy of needs. We always start with data optimization. And if you look at a lot of the tools that were announced, a lot of them focus on making sure that your data, both the structured piece and the unstructured piece, are there. They're accessible. They're easily used by your AI tools, and a lot of people come into the AI conversation feeling like, oh, we've been behind on doing the legwork that's needed to clean up our data, to get our data in shape to be able to leverage these tools. Know that legwork is still needed. Like,
Yeah, I
AI,
would say that's a huge point, Salim, right? Is that this doesn't replace the foundational work that needs to be done inside of your CRMs, right? We have that RevOps hierarchy of needs, by the way, is now an academy course in HubSpot's Learning Academy.
yep, stay tuned for more details on that.
Yep. So we'll have that, and I think as we've rolled this out and introduced this to clients, it's really resonated. And AI doesn't replace that foundation. That foundation is still very important. Understanding your data architecture, your people and processes, and your blocking and tackling, and how your team is being enabled with these tools and how they're adopting, and all of that is still fundamental to what we're going to do here. And again, I'm going to you know express my excitement curbed with sort of a warning of this is an accelerant, right? If we apply these tools without having a strong foundation, you're going to accelerate the chaos that's inside of your CRM. You're going to accelerate the use of bad data. You're going to accelerate the use of taking things in the wrong context because you have the wrong context, right? So now more important than ever is making sure that your data is clean, your architecture, matches what you're trying to do, and your processes are tight. And most importantly, your team is adopting these tools in a way that keeps this information and keeps that circle tight. And that's, again, I think we've built out Adoption Hub. We're going to be releasing even, new updates to our Adoption Hub tool on the back end. That's going to help drive and keep that data clean inside of the CRM, at least drive the adoption piece from users.
Yeah. We had an interesting question in the comments from Leslie Jenkins, who's curious about how other orgs who have both Salesforce that's integrated with HubSpot, how are they going to gain access to these tools? How are they going to receive these tools? And what do you think about the new proposition of is it still valuable to integrate Salesforce with HubSpot, or do we feel like we're inching closer to a world where if you were running both systems, you could start moving off of Salesforce?
I mean, I think, look, obviously our preference would always be to work inside a single platform that's going to keep your data cleaner. It's going to keep everything right where it needs to be and more accessible for these tools. However, there's a lot of companies who are going to, dig their feet in and stay on Salesforce when it comes to, Salesforce as their CRM. That doesn't mean that we can't connect a lot of this to come into HubSpot to create that context from a marketer's perspective, right? To me, this actually, like a lot of this, if we can bring that information in from Salesforce, right, can bring it in, it's a lot of the context that I think that marketers who have their sales teams on Salesforce and we can't control, how they use it or the quality, like at least we'll have a more context inside of HubSpot to do it. So I think it can improve it. But again, this goes back to is your RevOps hierarchy of needs intact and in place for Salesforce? Because if it's not, then we could be bringing in, again, bad data into HubSpot CRM, right, or HubSpot marketing tools.
Yeah. One other question that we've heard a lot since the show, where we started seeing a lot of mentions of HubSpot credits and how more and more tools, especially AI tools, are using HubSpot credits. HubSpot cited the cost of goods sold as the reason why these tools use HubSpot credits. What's your outlook on planning around these tools and budgeting for these tools moving forward?
Yeah, so that was again like when I thought about that, that was where I saw as like we're going to meet the most friction, right? Because a lot of the people who are in charge of the CRM or in charge of marketing or in charge of this aren't necessarily in charge of the checkbook, right? So, the idea of, hey, we're going to start looking at, consumption-based credit usage is really frightening to a lot of people because, hey, I don't want to suddenly get a bill next month for $15,000 and get fired because my CFO said, who authorized this? So I think, understanding the pricing model, right, and the ROI to this is going to be critical. And again, these are tools that we're going to be rolling out internally and then making available to our clients very quickly, which is, if we're going to launch customer agent, how much is it going to cost? How much time is it going to relieve from our team? And what's the ROI we can expect to see on this? So we can not just see the cost, but the value and the ROI associated with the adoption of these tools. Because I think that's the critical part, right? Is like, how much is some of this worth to you and how much is it going to cost? And there is going to be a little bit of a black box for people that we're going to try to unpack and make available. And we're doing this, again, using the same sorts of tools. We're sort of unpacking that mystery for, the people who are consulting, our RevOps strategist and also our clients.
Yeah, and stay tuned for all the tools that we're developing, including an agent and more marketing resources and a calculator to help you plan those HubSpot credit uses and understand how much you might need based on your portal and the amount of records that you have. Also, make sure to follow myself, Nicola Fakis, Caroline Prettyman, all three correspondents. We're still posting content from the show. And if you feel like some of these tools are exciting and you want to start digging into them, make sure to reach out to our team. We are happy to jump in and help you figure out everything that you need to figure out, and we can make a plan together on how you're going to implement them. Dave.
Yeah, I did. There's a lot there, right? So, so much so that I will put this in context for everybody that's hearing this for the first time. We walked away from Partner Day after seeing all these updates, all of these thoughts, and Selim, as the great correspondent that he was, said we need to get an interview with Dave and put a microphone in front of me, and I was silent. There's a lot here to process, right? So I want to urge everybody to kind of dive into this a little bit. We'll send out resources to our clients, to our prospects. These resources are going to be available from HubSpot. Learn as much as you can. Take the mystery out of this. And if you still have questions, schedule time with me. Schedule time with your RevOps strategist. Let us help take the mystery out of this, because it's like anything else we've ever learned, right? Always scary at first. Once we started using it and using it well, it was very exciting. And I think that's where we are. We're just in this is a learning curve. And I think for a lot of people, we're in the awareness stage, and we need to move from that awareness and quickly move into, who's going to be the early adopters and who are going to win using these tools.
Thank you to everyone who joined us live. We're excited to the coming weeks on how these updates shake out and how we're going to implement them for ourselves and our clients. And again, thank you for taking the time to joining us live today. Dave, any last thoughts?
No, hey, Leslie, thanks for the question. Great seeing you at Inbound. And, I don't know who's on this call, but if, you joined, thank you for joining. And for the rest of you who are going to watch this, later on, thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone.